We've talked about the fact that I have a soft spot in my heart for paranormal horror. I think it works best when something you can't see won't leave you alone. It forces you to play by rules that you never agreed to. It creates doubt in your mind when you hear that creak in the house and you wonder what that was. It's curses that you can pass along, rituals that you can mess up. The past comes to bite you in the ass, rooms that lie straight to your face. The best ones keep the rules simple, then make you live with the consequences, which is why the scares feel earned instead of cheap. It goes deeper than masked killers to a force that is beyond your comprehension. So let's go through the standouts, what they do, why they work, and the moments that still make you check the dark corners. This is my list of standouts within the paranormal genre. We start off with the granddaddy of them all. You knew that this was going to be on the list, so might as well talk about it straight out of the gate. We are heading back to 1973 for The Exorcist. A mother runs out of rational answers, realizes her daughter isn't just sick, that she is in the midst of a battle for her very soul. What grips me is how the film insists on procedure before it finally surrenders to ritual. We try doctors, we try tests, we try tape recorders. And it's only when reality refuses to cooperate that faith finally steps in. What makes the right feel earned and not superstitious are the priests. The men there on the front lines, ready to do battle with evil itself, fully aware that they are in the midst of a fight with something bigger than them. That bedroom turns into a war zone. It's a courtroom where the priests put their beliefs on the stand and the verdict leaves scars for everyone. This is a movie that shows the power that lies outside of our full comprehension. Next up, we go to 1998 for Ringu, a movie that really brought J-horror to the forefront of American horror. It's such a viciously elegant idea. Watch a videotape, die in 7 days. The curse spreads through ordinary tech of the time, VHS decks, landlines, and dread becomes a countdown that you can hear every time that the phone rings. And what makes it stick is the loophole. It is grim because survival means passing the horror along, turning sharing into a moral trap. Tape traders were a thing. Recording off of TV was a thing. And all of those are just turned into malformed tools for an evil to persist. There is no winning here. There is just surviving by making it somebody else's problem. By the time that Sadaku climbs out of the frame, that's not just a jump scare. It is proof that stories never stay buried, and it is nightmare fuel and trauma for an entire generation. Next up, we go to 2018 with Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. A ghost hunting channel goes live from an abandoned hospital and tries to juice the views with planted scares until they got more than they bargained for. This movie does a beautiful job of satirizing and commenting on the reality of stage scares within paranormal shows. It's a very real thing that has since come out since its heyday. But the beauty here is how the movie uses it. It weaponizes clout. The chat wants escalation. The crew wants subscribers. It's all about getting money and getting fame, and that hunger summons the entity as surely as any chant could. It modernizes a ritual that gets them in over their head. All these POV cameras build a map that tightens around you. It's all very claustrophobic and tilted. You can never quite realize where you're at in the landscape. And when the hoax bends into a real haunting, that style doesn't change. It capitalizes on the fact that you are seeing everything from the point of view of the broadcast, blending the lines between hoax and reality for everyone that's watching. Next up, this is a generational movie for a lot of people that redefined haunted house horror for a generation. We've got 2010's Insidious. A child, astral project, drifts too far in a realm called the Further, starts shopping for his body. I love how readable the cosmology is here. Sleep is a portal, a tether is a lifeline, a red door means danger. That clarity lets the movie turn lullabies and metronomes into occult tools. James Wan stages every reveal like theater. Curtain Up, New Nightmare, and Tiptoe Through the Tulips becomes the world's most cursed music cue, taking what was already something that had a creepy feel to it and turning it into nightmare fuel for a whole new generation. This is a movie that turned the volume up on haunted house horror and made it pretty. It concentrated on atmosphere and succeeds in spades. Next up, we go a bit darker with 2012's Sinister. A true crime writer finds 8mm home movies where families are brutally murdered, and an entity peeks from between the frames. The act of looking is the summoning. You wonder, what did I just see? And you're playing right into its trap. The projector's clatter becomes almost like a ritual beat, and each reel feels like you are consenting to bring it forward. You never really get a lore dump with Sinister. I think that's one of the things that I appreciate so much about it, because it doesn't neuter the monster. It doesn't over-explain what's happening here. We always get just enough to let Bughuul slide under our eyelids and take up residence. What results is a movie that is dark, that is melancholic, that gives the paranormal weight that means it doesn't all get tidied up by the end. Next up, we have 2008's Lake Mungo. I almost didn't include this because of another film that because of another list that I plan on doing later on this month. But I couldn't neglect this one. A family loses a daughter and starts finding her in photos and videos. But the film keeps asking if they're actually seeing her or just needing to see her. The mockumentary format turns editing almost into a seance. Every reveal teaches us to reread the earlier images. It keeps us second guessing, and closure keeps moving just out of reach. It is a ghost story, almost is grief counseling. And the last montage hits like a memory that you're not done with. This movie is weighty, and it takes the power of the paranormal and makes it very relatable for anyone who's experienced tragedy. Next up, we have one that I actually just recently watched, The Wailing from 2016. A rural cop chases a sickness through his town and runs into shamans, priests, and rumors. Every worldview has an opinion. What makes it terrifying is the duel of rituals that take place. There's always room for the standard classic Judeo-Christian approach to paranormal horror. I think that there are plenty of examples that have done it quite well or continue to do it quite well. However, I can appreciate, because I love the genre as a whole, and I love when the genre explores myth and mythology, that I love when it allows other forms of spiritualism to have a voice that it takes seriously. No one has the monopoly on the truth here. And certainty itself becomes a trap. The film stretches skepticism until it snaps. And when you finally decide what you believe, it punishes you for being so sure. Next up, we have 2005's Noroi the Curse. A documentarian tugs on tiny threads, noises in a wall, a psychic child, a forbidden god, and the whole tapestry pulls tight. Instead of one ghost, you get a network of folklore. TV shows, tapes, interviews. The horror spreads sideways, like mold in a culture dish. When all the timelines end up clicking together, it doesn't feel contrived. It gives weight and gravitas to what feels like an inevitable force of nature. Next up, we head back to 2016. Apparently, that was a strong year for paranormal horror with the Autopsy of Jane Doe. I struggled my way through this one. This is one of those that is almost unwatchable for me, but I have to give it credit for being a strong contender for paranormal horror. This sets right on the fringe of what is my flavor, what is in my lane for paranormal horror, well, for horror in general. Two coroners dissect a nameless body and end up autopsying a curse. Every incision exposes something that shouldn't exist inside of a human being. What works about this is the mirroring. Clinical ritual versus occult ritual. The procedure opens doors that science can't close. Trapped in a basement lab with a corpse that refuses to be understood, you realize the body is both a message and a mechanism. This one's a slow burn, and you sit in the context of being in an autopsy room. It is unrelenting with how dark it is. But baked in the midst of that is an interesting tale into the occult. Next up, we have 2014's The Taking of Deborah Logan. A documentary crew follows an Alzheimer's patient and captures something else going on. Illness becomes the perfect camouflage for what is ultimately possession. That's the sting. Our instinct to explain the inexplicable, to be compassionate, to medicalize, gives the entity room to breathe. Hospital monitors and home care routines ground images that should be impossible. And the finale is the tunnel. In the tunnel is pure nightmare anatomy. This is one that grounds very real human horror that we can experience with the supernatural, blending two worlds together in a stunning way. Next up on the list, I put in a movie that I think is criminally underrepresented. It Lives Inside from 2023. An Indian American teen tries to shed her heritage in order to fit in. And Apishka, an eater of grief, finds that open door. The specificity is the power. The entity feeds on isolation and self-erasure. So every choice to reject language and ritual and community becomes a summoning step. When the rules finally come into focus, how to contain, how to starve, it feels less like exposure and more like reclaiming a defense that you almost lost. This is a picture into how a filmmaker that cares to tell a story about their heritage can tell a beautiful story that marries real life with the paranormal, and it's taken seriously. It's given room to breathe for a culture that has its own structure of spiritualism. Do you have to agree with everything that's portrayed on the screen? Absolutely not. But there's still power in allowing other cultures to tell their story. This started off as a festival film and got picked up, and I saw this in theaters when it came out, and I thought this was absolutely brilliant. Next up, we go back to 2002 with Ju-on the Grudge. A violent death poisons a Tokyo home, and anyone who enters contracts the curse like a spiritual contagion. What makes it unforgettable is the way dread seeps into everyday spaces: stairwells, closets, office, elevators. There is no quarantine once you've been marked. Time fractures into episodes, which makes the haunting feel omnipresent. The curse isn't a ghost with a grudge, it's a process that manufactures victims. Kyoko's croak and Toshio's cat like wail become sensory timestamps. You hear them, and your body knows what's coming next. The rules are brutally simple: cross the threshold, carry it with you, and watch your life get edited out of sequence. Next up, we go to 2009 for another movie that I feel like is criminally underrepresented in lists like this with Drag Me to Hell. A loan officer denies an extension to the wrong client and inherits a curse that gives her 3 days before the demon Lamia claims her. Sam Raimi builds a morality play as a roller coaster, mixing occult rules with slapstick cruelty. The cursed button, the envelope swap, the seance with the very uncooperative goat. Every set piece is a negotiation on guilt disguised as professionalism. What makes it bite is how the comedy sharpens the dread. Bodily fluid, chaos, 1 second. A cruel countdown the next. The curse is a contract that preys on shame and denial. And the ending doesn't blink. Cosmic justice, train tracks, and a last awful truth about who you've been this entire time. This is a movie that blends the worlds of horror and comedy in a way that only Sam Raimi can do, because it still tells a resonant story. Next up, we've got 1408 from 2007. A jaded writer debunks haunted places until a hotel room starts editing his reality. The clock counts down. The walls rewrite memory. Even the exits are props. It is a precision mind maze built to weaponize grief. The room's rules are sadistic but legible. Time loops, false reprieves, sensory traps. So paranoid that the map makes you second guess every second. and every escape feels like another layer of the trick. Next up on the list in our penultimate spot, we have 2001's 13 Ghosts. This is a product of 2001 from start to finish. It is every bit the time period that it came from. The glass house, powered by a black zodiac of captured spirits, all gears and glyphs and murderous elegance. You put on special goggles to see what wants you dead. It is ritual as architecture. The house is both poison and engine. Every ghost with a role in the machine. It is maximalist to its core, but the system is so clear. What each seal does, who each spirit is, a spectacle that turns into modern myth, all teeming with extremity in its most new metal form, hounded the entire time by deep despair and very human emotion, powered by the ridiculous acting of 2001 Matthew Lillard, an absolute gem that marries every facet of this world that's been created together. And finally, we have 1992's Ghostwatch. A faux live BBC special strolls into a house to meet a poltergeist named Pipes and accidentally hosts a national seance. The format is the fright, familiar TV rhythms, hosts, call-ins, awkward pauses, smuggle horror through trust. By asking the audience to watch together, the broadcast turns attention itself into the ritual. We all said the words at the same time. See, that's the beauty of a paranormal story. It brings people into the experience and creates an atmosphere that doesn't need high spectacle. It leaves you questioning, what did I just see? Paranormal stories linger when the unseen has a system. Curses with loopholes, rituals with costs, entities with appetites. Break the rules, and the rules break you back. Whether it's a room that lies, a tape that insists on being copied, or a ceremony that refuses shortcuts, the best of these make the invisible feel organized enough to fear and respect the unknowable. See, I wanted to add entries onto this list that you will not always get with lists like this. There are some that are absolute staples of the genre, and I could easily make 4 or 5 of these lists in totality. But this is my first crack at some of my top picks for paranormal horror. If I missed your favorite Spectre, call it out down below. I'll be waiting for the reply. Until next time, peace.